Have you ever dreamt of a better version of yourself? Younger, more beautiful, more perfect.
Would you like to turn back the clock? Would you jump on the chance to become your best self? This is the central question the substance asks. So what will the answer be for our protagonist? And what would that entail? Hi there, it's Micha. Join me for this review if you like to find out.
People always ask for something new. At 50, it stops.
Elizabeth Sparkle is an aging movie star whose role offer slowly dried out over the years. The only thing she has left in her career is the leading part in a successful fitness show on TV. However, the network finally deemed her too old for that too, fired her, and is now looking for a younger replacement. At this low point, Elizabeth gets an offer she can't refuse. A secret new drug called the Substance that will turn you into the best possible version of yourself. The catch? You can only stay in that form for 7 days. To guarantee balance, you then have to remain the following 7 days in your old persona before you can become your alternate self again.
One single injection unlocks your DNA and will release another version of yourself.
After using the activating portion of the substance, a younger version of herself emerges from Elizabeth's body, ripping her back open in the process.
This is the Substance.
After stitching up that now for 7 days lifeless shell, she adopts the name Sue.
I'm Sue.
And applies for her old job at the network, where she is immediately hired.
You're hired.
Let's go.
Sue even clarifies that she is only available every other week, which the producers accept. After that first week, she uses the provided tools to switch, meaning transferring her conscience back into her original body, while the Sue version of her lays dormant for 7 days.
A perfect balance of 7 days each.
At first she is able to keep the balance, but soon she wants to stay longer in her new form as Sue. So she adds another day. After switching back though, Elizabeth has to realize that this came at a cost, and it is also irreversible.
There's been a slight misuse of the substance.
Shocked by this, she ensures to stick with the regimen. But as time progresses and Sue becomes really popular, it gets harder and harder to force herself to stay a week in her Elizabeth form. She even starts to refer to her respective other self as if it was a different person, even though the customer support representative at the Substance hotline keeps reminding her that she is still one person.
The one and only thing not to forget. You are one. You can't escape from yourself.
Will she be able to find balance, or will things escalate? Well, it is no spoiler to say that things will not go smoothly, because this is not a feel-good movie of the week, but a body horror film. I mostly liked this one, so let's start the review with the reasons for that.
I'm fine. Everything's fine.
As many critics highlighted, playing Elizabeth, this may be one of Demi Moore's best performances. And actor Margaret Qualley matches this, portraying the Sue persona. They are also truly brave, as this movie requires a lot of nudity from both of them, which never felt gratuitous. They also didn't fear to be ugly because, as I mentioned before, this is a body horror movie, so not everything we get to see is roses and butterflies. Dennis Quaid is also great in the role as the sleazy producer.
Pretty girls should always smile.
A role for which, by the way, the late great Ray Liotta was originally cast before he tragically passed away. The technical aspects of this movie are also high, meaning the visual style, the production design, editing and so on. The story in general is also very captivating and has some interestingly surreal aspects in store, like the place of operation for the substance is an ugly, weird and dirty location, at least from the outside, while inside you just have a collection of clean deposit boxes. By the way, it never was mentioned if the company was asking for anything in return. I mean, it seems to work as described if you stick to the instructions, but it would have puzzled me that there was never any payment mentioned. I guess that just adds to the mystique, but still is a peculiar aspect. There are of course other small plot details that are a little bit stupid, like Sue going after the same job Elizabeth had, which already was the last role she was able to keep. Why didn't Sue try to reclaim movie stardom instead? For sure there was some ego involved, but still. There is no big plot issue though. Basically everything is fine until we come closer to the end. And no worries, I will not spoil what happens. I will just say that the movie opts to go quite off the rails in the finale, where for me the plot was not consistent anymore with what the rest of the movie presented. Instead of properly finishing the main story, they leaned too much into the message they want to bring across, which they did by going too meta for my taste. I mean, the main message is that people always want more than what they have. And even if given a second chance, a new lease on life, they still are not happy with it, craving even more. That would have been enough and it comes across quite clearly, but they had to shoehorn an additional message in at the end, which also had a valid point, but didn't fit in with the rest of the movie. For me, that truly devalued the whole experience, which will make this a tough one to rate. And with that being said, let's get to the rating. Okay, this was a very well acted and engaging movie that nicely held the balance between horror, dark satire and drama, until the story derailed in the end. Up to that point, I would have rated this movie with maybe 7 or 8 out of 10 points, while the end on its own would be maybe a 3 or 4 out of 10. Overall, the end was not dragging the overall experience down so much that I would go with a mathematical average value of 5.5 out of 10, but it still impacted the score substantially. To be fair, I will go with 6.5 out of 10 points, but be aware that depending on how your overall experience may be impacted by the ending, you may need to adjust the score a bit in the respective direction. What about you? Can you enjoy a movie even if the end feels out of place, or would this spoil the whole experience for you? Whatever you like to share, let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, feel free to like, share or subscribe. So much for now, see you next time, and thanks for watching. Meaning transferring her conscience back into her own... And even if given a second chance, a new lease on life, which also had a valid point, while the end on its own would be maybe just a 3 or 4.